In this episode, we are going to cover what is the ideal perfect landed home that future buyers are looking out for and tips for you before you start renovating or reconstruction or A&A to your house. Welcome to another episode of Property Roundtable with myself, Harvey, and Rama, bringing value to your journey of buying and selling a landed property or other forms of property in Singapore. Okay, Rama, you know, right? A lot of our clients are always like say, hey, Harvey, now landed price all go up already. My budget the same. Landed price keep going up. I go inside the house, then I say, I need to do this whole laundry list of things. But when the price of landed property go up plus the cost of the wish list that I have, the final amount, right, exceeds my budget.
Yep.
So I cannot buy already.
Yes.
Do you think that's the case?
Cannot buy, then look for a place where it's already done. No?
But they will charge you an arm and a leg also.
So that's where we sit down with Property Roundtable. We discuss, okay, which is a better choice. Okay, then we list out individually what's the cost in today's market. Because that guy would have done it in yesterday's market.
Okay. That's one way. Or another way is today we're just going to share with you a few things in our list that we feel that, okay lah, how do we help you get into that position without you losing out in future, right? Like what are some of the things that you will spend that dollar, right? That will definitely give you that return that you're looking out for.
Yeah, because today's buyer all very different.
Yeah, today's buyer different. Okay, Rama, maybe you share one thing that you know that buyers today and even buyers in the future definitely must have in the landed home.
Okay, I'm going to say I walk into the house, the very first thing is level 1 lah.
Yeah, level
Most
1,
of the time
correct.
is level 1 lah.
Correct.
Then I see, no room here. Then my mother how?
Yeah, granny room.
Not say they cannot ask this before they come for viewing lah, but
Yeah.
but still lah.
Yeah, granny room. Why do you think that this thing is so essential for the future buyer?
Because in those days lah, when our parents all buy, right, they never really think of lift or whether I can climb stairs. But today's individuals are so well protected, that they don't only take care of themselves, they also want to take care of their parents.
Correct.
So they say, hey, no, if I'm buying landed, most probably I will want to have my parents with me.
Correct.
Okay, so I don't want them to climb up the stairs anymore. But in actual fact, they're already preparing for their future. That's the truth, bro.
I think it's a natural progression of an aging population.
Yeah.
I think that the aging population is something that we knew about, but now we are literally seeing people around us. I think for Rama and my generation, I think safe to say we are in the 40 to 50 zone. We start to see our parents aging, and if we are already seeing that, I think for the younger generation, they are also know that in future that if they want their parents to stay with them, that there needs to be a room downstairs. And I mean, some houses built in past, right? They got split level, so they got a few steps up before they even get to even that if there's a room, for example, right? I think this is something that if you're cost-centric, it's impossible for you to navigate because to raise levels and drop levels, right? It's not as simple as what people think.
Yeah.
So therefore, other than the few steps, right, you should probably can't navigate, right? I think one of the good dollar spend, right, is to configure a room at least, right?
Yeah.
On the ground floor.
Yeah.
And I think another thing that people are looking out for, right, in today's setup, which is if you have a granny room, means you have elder lah. If you have an elder, likely means you might need to be backed up with a helper to like facilitate them when they are older. So another thing that we foresee that the future buyer is definitely looking out for, right, that gives you a leg up over other sellers, right, is to have a helper room.
Correct. Actually, you know what?
Yeah.
If you didn't mention this now, I was just about to say the helper don't have a room in the ground floor, never mind, because the helper's still young, can climb upstairs. But I think you brought up a very important point. When you have an elder and they need care, it's better that the helper is on the same level.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I share with you my own personal experience. Last time, I actually owned a landed house, which my land size actually not big. My first landed home, my land size is only about 1,300 plus. So at 1,300 plus, you must be thinking like, where is it even possible to do so? So my layout was this. I go into the house, there's that living room, right? We have our sofa and stuff like that. My dining is then pushed out to the patio. And behind the living area, right, it's actually a granny room which was carved out for my parents. And then behind, next to their room, was actually the bathroom. And then right beside that bathroom, right, was actually a helper's room. So in that layout, even though the land size is small, right, I'm also able to lay it out that way. Because when I was doing that, right, I had this vision that in future that everybody would require the parents not to climb. Maybe because my dad's leg is not so good, so I really planned for that. So that layout actually did help a lot when I was selling that house. We realized that in our neighborhood, there are a lot of the older houses. It wasn't set up that way. They had a nice living room. They always concerned, oh, my friends come, right? How do I have gathering? How do I eat? I need a proper dining table. I think I survived a good 4 or 5 years there with my dining being outdoors and having a nice fan outside. Why sharing these matters is because, right, if your budget is limited, you are likely looking for a smaller size like that already in the first place. So you're not going to have your traditional layout like, oh, I can have walk-in, then I have my living room, I have my dining. Then you can do all that. But then in future, right, when the buyer comes, right, and they're paying such a high price, right, they for sure would expect to at least have that basic layout there. They don't have extra money to go and do it.
Yeah.
So Rama, granny room, helper room, very important. This one is a generational living thing. Any other things that you feel that it's that the future buyer will look for and must have?
Okay, now that we've spoken about the rooms, okay, one of the other important things, right, especially for buyers who love to host,
Yes.
okay, they definitely need a powder room or a bathroom on the level one, which doesn't go through rooms lah.
Yeah.
Okay, if it has to go through rooms in order for them to get to the bathroom, then it's a bit inconvenient, okay, and then they may have to go to the second floor. So I would still feel having an attached bathroom in the granny's room and a common bathroom on the first floor is still a bonus.
Yes.
If not, just have the bathroom outside the room enough already.
Correct. Yeah. So one way is to do it like how the condos do it, right? Where you have a pocket door. So it will be like an ensuite to the bathroom for the granny room. But in all when people come to the house, right, then that it will be a internal space where they can lock up from the user can lock up so that it will still have some privacy. So that itself is again future planning.
Yes.
And I no disrespect to interior designers. A lot of them like to design the house like they will ask you, oh, how do you live on a daily basis? Blah blah blah. They are very client orientated, but unfortunately, right, they are not the ones selling the house. You see, they are not there to protect your legacy. They are not there to make the product better for you to onward sell in future. So these are. At least these two things right now are the essential. I think one more thing that a lot of modern day buyers are going to be looking out for in future, right, is, a lot of people like hear stories. They say, hey, I hear a lot of landed homes, right, they always leaking. So a lot of buyers today go into the market, they know that some of these roofs are old and they said, hey, Harvey, so what should I do? I said, oh, let's redo the roof. Then they said, wow, redo the roof very expensive. But actually, there's also a way which is to relay the roof and then do the waterproofing inside without basically doing a do-over altogether. So there's some savings there. Why is it important? Because today this topic is really about it's about saving money. Every dollar that you save or every dollar that you put in, you want to get it back and make sure that that's what people are looking for. That is our goal.
Yep.
No dollar spent is going to be wasted.
Yep.
I give you an example. You put wallpaper in your house. You put marble on your flooring. It doesn't mean the future buyer is going to pay you for that or is write up their checklist that is a must have.
Right.
Correct? So it's very you. It's very personalized. And if you see that as an expression of your lifestyle, then fine be that. But we let's not run away with any imagination that you're doing all this, right? It helps you sell for a better price, or this will help you push the buyer across the line to offer for your house over someone else's.
But that being said,
Yes.
recently I went for a viewing
Yes.
to a lender
Yes.
where they had a granite flooring,
Yes.
but the granite had minor pop-ups, which is rough.
Yeah,
Okay.
because natural stone.
Yeah,
mah.
so
they probably
Yeah.
damaged it. lah.
So yeah, but that's a no, because
Yeah.
you know why? Even if the house nice, they see this, right? They think, oh, there might be other problems.
Yeah.
So these kind of things you still have to do.
Yeah.
You know?
And
Yeah.
and some marble flooring quite hard to take care of. You got seepage and stuff like that. So yes, it is premium. We understand such products are premium. We understand that there are certain type of marble that are premium. Albeit, I think the consumers out there may or may not be just looking out specifically for this. So that's one of the items that we feel that you can drop from your list, which is like what kind of finishes. You can choose more practical finishes that are still useful in maintaining the house. Case in point, you can do a very large homogeneous tile, which is very grand, and it's also easier to maintain. So if it's pet friendly, it's not as slippery for old folks to walk on, not as cold, it's as warm to the feet if you use other material. So this is again some of the things that in your wish list that we feel that you can drop. Raman, what do you think about electrical? Do you think that now EV very common? Do you think it's a must have to ramp up from single phase to triple phase, or do you think that it should just single phase still works?
Okay, I would say this is not important or key, because you know why?
Yeah.
This is something that can be easily done
Yeah.
by the new buyer.
Yes.
Okay, at any point in time, because
Correct.
it's not a very big, massive thing that's going to put you back in in any disadvantageous position. No,
Yes.
it's just that you want it, you pay for it. Like, I mean, if you're not going to drive an EV car, then forget it. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah,
Correct. So ramping up electrical is I would say if your budget has limitation, then it's a good to have. It's not a must have.
Yeah.
Another thing also, people talk a lot about having solar panels for landed homes. To me, having solar panel is good to have if you foresee yourself like going to use this house for a long time. Obviously now solar companies have like lease models as well, where you lease from them and they sell the balance of the extra energy that's collected back to the grid. So which means that you can sort of like square your bill.
Yeah.
But if you look at the savings, unless you're working like aircon every day, right?
Yeah.
Throughout the whole house. I mean, people will tell me, hey, now I have solar panel, I can on aircon every day. Wow, that's great. Yes, perfect. But that itself is a non-essential as well. It's good to have. And you keep on your aircon, you also need to do maintenance. So the money you save will also be expensed off in another way. So again, if your checklist has something like, for example, ramping up electrical, for example, like doing solar panel, to me, all this is good to have.
Yep.
Not must have. So another thing, for example, facade. Is it pertinent to have cladding, for example, at the front of your house? Or is it like you should do a paint job? So these are things that are good to have. It looks very nice.
Actually,
But my question is, why do some people make it into a landed position whilst others take long time to make it into the landed position? It's because their wants become a need. But this one that became a need has no relevance towards the future exit value to the house.
wow, actually I lost you there, bro. But I still understood the line before that. Okay, so I'm going to just comment on that one.
Yeah.
Again, whenever we go for viewing, right, and then after the viewing, say you like the house,
Yeah.
then now you have to spot the problems
Yes.
so that I can, negotiate the price, right? So you come out of the house, then you look up. Wow, how come all this house very old? Then this one is so newly painted.
Yeah.
Oh, that means they must have done something lah. They have done some work on it.
Yeah.
So you are mentally being conditioned by the seller or the
Yes.
seller's
Yes.
representing agents that, well, this house is definitely better.
Yes.
But they may have prepared it,
Yes.
you know?
So
yeah.
Yeah, but some of these things that if you want to present your house in a better fashion can be done before the marketing starts.
Correct.
And again, it doesn't eat into your dollar today. Okay, one more thing also. There's an increasing trend that people like to have rooms that are ensuite. Rama, do you agree or disagree?
Definitely, bro. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think when people start putting more and more people into the house, right? When it starts, there will be requirements lah. Especially if there are young kids and where everybody is like, oh, jam out at the same time to need to get out of the house, right? I think having an ensuite bathroom or at least access to the toilet via the room, right? It's essential because you know the older houses, they think there are two kinds. One is one common toilet, 3 rooms, no ensuite.
Yeah.
One is one ensuite and 2 share one
That is okay.
common bath. But do you know that there are some layouts that actually allow you to create 2 ensuites? If you were to appoint the right people, they will give you the right advice.
Correct.
So again, right, if you're able to create more ensuites or in fact all ensuites, right, that is definitely a value creation. So that money that you spend towards doing that matters. Another thing, you said, oh, the frames of the house look pretty okay. I think we can still use it. But
what frames you talking
that means like window frames, sliding
okay.
doors. But if I may say, if you're going to go into the house, you're going to stay for a pretty long time, and you happen to like privacy a lot, you know, are very sensitive to sound, or if it, you know, for convenience of being closer to the public transport also means that you are closer to the road, right? Which also means that there's likely going to be like road noise and stuff like that, right? Then therefore, I think it's important that you consider when you're changing the frames, right, of the windows and sliding doors, that you choose something that is of a higher quality.
Yep. Yep.
In the market, there are a few brands. There's Fascina, which is like super high end. There's also like Euro Profile, which is also quite high end. And there's also Sapphire, right, which is like Singapore brand, which is also very good. Now, these 3 providers, right, will give you that product which allows you to create a lot more like noise management. That is between, for me lah, it's between a want and a need. That means if you have the extra budget and you don't know whether you should spend it on that one slab of marble, then you can dry lay and look good, or doing this, right? I think it is safe to say that you should do this because this has value. Then the dollar you spend matters.
And all this is because today's buyer can be actually convinced by these kind of things. Because they seem to like, I don't know, watching our channel or, you know, with all their experience, right? They have a checklist, you know. They go there, okay, this one have. Okay, this one have. Okay, this one don't have. Okay, this one have. Like that's how they rate the house. You know? And then they go to the next house, then they go back home and check. You know, this house same price, but this one got all this thing, this one don't have this thing.
Correct.
It has come to this really now.
Yeah. So a few of our clients that were able to make that decision really quick, right? It's because when we brought them to the house, right, we also brought some professionals that were able to give them a quotation really fast. And we discussed tabletop, right? Like what are the essentials? What are the things to have that is definitely good for them to do? And what are the things that is good to have but not necessary? And what are some of the things that really doesn't really matter? Because most people go in, right, they are also mainly looking for aesthetics when it comes to, oh, if I want to do my house, I want to make it aesthetic. But aesthetics is just aesthetics lah. It's like, it may or may not. And for us, we are more concerned with value preservation and value creation. Because we don't live like you. We don't know you in terms of what is your preference, right? Like color schemes or whatever kind of material. We don't know. But if you over provide for things that don't really allow create value or claw back the value lah. Let's not talk about value creation. Let's talk about claw back the value, right? Then it matters. Because once you over provide for budget to do certain things, right? And then it restricts you to even get into that primary position. Can you imagine you drop houses because of this requirement, and every day you go, you put 500,000. You put 500,000, you go to this house, 500,000 cannot. You go to this house, 500,000 cannot. This house may have a very good value. For example, it's old. It's a nice plot. Yeah, it's old lah. That's why you are looking at it because it's within your budget But you keep doubling up. You say, oh, if it's older, then I need more money to do this, right? I mean, if you look at certain expenses, it's actually quite fixed one. If you look at creating, let's say, a granny room, it's a partition wall It's not going to spend a lot of money. You create a toilet, it's about plumbing works. So if it's plumbing works and you're going to do it, it's just an extension of where the plumbing goes to. If it's a relaying of the layout, right, it's also not going to be super expensive. But if you start playing around with, I want to change my staircase position, I want to level down, level up, I think all these there are still smart solutions to it. So recently there was one client that I brought to see a house. So after evaluating a few options, we realized that actually there was one option that was not bad, but it definitely required, there were a few kinks to it that they needed to address.
Okay.
So one thing was actually same thing. We wanted a granny room for the old folks below, but she wanted to be a modern house whereby the dining and the kitchen will be in one straight line. So there were some split levels here and there.
Yep.
So when I brought my builder to have a look, right, he gave a totally different suggestion. He said, hey, if we flip it around, we can actually do this without, affecting the step up, step down for the old folks. There's no danger to that. So actually it was like, it was a light bulb moment.
Yes.
And when you go and view it on your own and without an advice from someone, right, you guys cannot see it.
So if you're a seller watching this right now, right, I just want to tell you what Harvey said right now is actually a very important point. There are people in the same street who have done all these things and out there in the market selling, and then you have a similar house who have not done anything.
Yes.
Don't worry. That doesn't mean you're going to sell at a lower price. At the end of the day, even before coming to see the house, people see numbers.
Yes.
So maybe you're actually better off that you haven't done it, but you know what can be done.
Yes.
So that's what he was mentioning earlier on. You bring in the right people, get all these things done.
So, for example, like Rama and myself, let's say we take on this job, right? We actually will bring that professional to say, hey, what are the things that can be done easily? What is a potential ballpark that they need to do that? And that gives people the perspective of what they are actually buying into at this price point, what they can achieve. Because we are being overly naive. We expect like landed buyers today, right? 9 out of 10 of them go in and then they are going to be like, they know what's going on, they know what they can do. It's impossible. That's why they are not in the industry. They are looking for something nice, they're looking for something ready, which is very normal. Which is why the premiums for those are slightly higher, but it gives them that peace of mind, or they just want like fast game that thing. So, but most of the houses are old. Bro,
actually, let me also include one more thing. You all must be wondering how come Harvey and Rama haven't talked about this very important thing, which is a lift.
Yes.
Right?
Correct.
So let's say you are a seller, okay, and you have a property that you can have a lift, okay, but you haven't had it because you may not need it, you may not require it, because not say having a lift is all that thing, Sometimes you lose the space also.
Yes.
So maybe it's not for you because you want to keep the space. But that doesn't mean the next buyer can't do it.
Yes.
So, but what you need to know is this can be done.
Yes.
So you sell that to the next person.
Correct.
If he wants.
Correct.
That's an option. If you want, you do. You don't want, you don't do.
Yeah.
So you don't need to do and then sell. That's not necessary.
And again, the lift itself is a very big topic. I know we have mentioned before that people are looking for lifts. But as more and more lift providers come in and exit the market, right, there are also certain lifts that are not as ideal. So some buyers actually tell me that they are the newer buyers, they say that actually they don't want a lift. Because they said, if I have a lift, then I need to maintain it. Then it's not something they really need. They are so ready that if they go to a landed house that they can climb the stairs. I think all this is a preference again. Then we realize that perhaps a lift may not be a must-have anymore. Perhaps it's a good to have. But if you're going through a full rebuild, right, I think Rama and I's advice will be you put in the lift. Because putting in a lift is very easy if you rebuild.
Yep.
But it is a whole another level of something if you want to insert a lift into a house that you're not going to rebuild.
Yep.
It's not impossible, but the land size, the layout must be ideal for you to slot in the lift.
Yes.
I've also seen houses do full recon, right? That are able to insert a lift just happen at the right place because the layout of the house allows them to do so. The staircase position allows them to do so. And I'm marketing a house like that right now, which is potentially able to do that as well. So if there are buyers out there who are looking at things, right, who want to see things from a different perspective, buyers, and they need advice on how to get into the position, putting in things that are still within their budget but doesn't restrict them from buying the position. Or if there are sellers out there who you're trying to sell your place, but you've been having a lot of like pushback in terms of why people are saying, oh, your house is old. I mean, your house is old is a fact lah. I mean, you drive around the landed estate,
Yep.
more than 80% of houses are old anyway, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that there's no value to this. But how much do you allocate that value? How much do they need to do for the buyers, right? And give them a perspective of what they can do. Actually, then will help you to get a better clarity on whether the valuations that you're getting in the market really make any sense.
Yep.
I mean, again, valuations can range very far apart, like hundreds of thousands.
Yep.
These hundreds of thousands is not a joke, right? It's not like, what's your value? This bank 5 million, the other bank 5.5. Okay, I just go for 5.5. No, it doesn't work that way because the guy comes into your house when he wants to renovate the house, right, or redo the house, right. Every of these dollar is in cash.
Yep.
So 500,000 is a lot. So it's also to reevaluate whether you price yourself correctly, or whether the advice that you've been given by someone who doesn't have the experience or hasn't done their house before, whether or haven't dealt with clients who have done that before. Their advice is based on valuation centric. Then I feel that perhaps you may need to have another opinion, or you may be shortchanging yourself.
Yep.
So again, Roundtable has been Roundtable has been talking on landed market for the last 2 years. In fact, we just passed our 2-year mark. So we didn't wake up in the morning and decided that landed market is something that is sexy. It wasn't that sexy previously, but now obviously it's become more sexy, and we are convicted in this space, and we have definitely executed multiple mandates for sellers and buyers to get into their landed position, or pure purchasers to get into a land position and give them advice on what to do to the house. So Rama, in closing, right?
In closing, I'm going to say a proverb, my own one,
Wow.
which I just shared with Dan. Dan is just opposite us, watching us, So I told him,
Yes.
you can only change what you can change.
Yes.
If you cannot change, you cannot change.
Yes.
Correct or not?
Correct. You can only change what you can change. You cannot change, you cannot change.
Cannot change.
You can only control what you can control. If you cannot control, then
No point fighting away.
yes, no point for doing.
Same thing for the house also. You can change, you can change.
Yes.
Cannot change. No?
Yes. And again, this is a very big topic.
Yeah.
But for those who have been feeling this as your pain point whilst you've been searching the property market for a while, and for sellers who will see this as a pain point, right, you will know what we're talking about. This is something that is very close to the heart of a lot of people, I dare say. Because this is the problem, the pain point that we have been addressing for almost all our clients in searching in the market or selling in the market today. So if you like what you watched so far, you think that this makes sense, or you don't really understand what we're talking about, but it's kind of like feel that it's something like that, but we don't know what you're talking about exactly, right? Great. Contact us on a WhatsApp form.
Yep.
Or get to Rama and myself. We will do more of a deep dive. And for you. And actually, we also want to ask one question. We've never done a live session before.
Yep.
But we have had rumblings of people asking us to do like a one-off like live session where you can throw questions at us. If it's something that you guys look forward to, or you're okay and you want us to do, right, can you put in the comment, you just put Facebook Live. Put comment there. Then I just want to see people actually reach the end of this video, or actually they want something like that. Then we will probably arrange one session like that for you guys in the near future, very fast.
And also, if you're those who are not into watching the YouTube while listening, we are also available on Spotify.
Yes.
So on the move, you can just
Yes.
listen to us. You
Yeah,
know,
correct.
So that you
Eh,
can.
yeah. We've been dutifully parking stuff in Spotify, but of course,
this that we've not been saying.
because of people, I think a lot more people listen to Spotify for the music, and then a lot of people watch YouTube for the videos and and the podcast.
So all the videos are available there. So when you're going for a walk, jog, run, drive, you can still hear us lah.
And also for the developers or the clients out there who are looking for opportunities, you can also reach out to us.
Yep.
Also for the providers of services, for example, if you're an ID, if you're a builder, if you're a I don't know, any relevant service providers, right? If you are watching us and you think that there's some synergy in what we're doing and there are some things that you want to reach out and then share with our viewers, right? Please contact us on the WhatsApp form. I think we can meet up and see whether there's any angles that we can provide value to our viewers out there. So if you like what you watched so far, do like, share, and subscribe, and keep watching. And see you in our next episode. Bye-bye.